Fast Hours podcast, live edition. What's happening, Rory? What's the story, my friend?
Oh, there we go with those rhymes. Like it, man. It's
Yeah.
well, it's Friday. We're ripping. Lots of stuff going on. Just finally got back home. It's about, I don't know, 20 degrees outside, which is miserable. But hey, here we are. So yeah, man, it's been a crazy week back and forth between New York and LA. Lots of stuff. I feel like I'm in a time warp, but what else is new? What's going on with you?
Bro, has this week just been nuts or
It's
what?
just
I
weird.
mean, oh my God, man. You and I were just texting back and forth and talking to each other about like everything we had going on this week. I had a lot of client work, kids are sick, car, my whole tire on my right side just exploded when I hit a curb 2 days ago, and I wasn't dressed for it, and it's cold as hell outside, and I walked a mile and a half back to my house in house slippers and a t-shirt. And then you, my friend, you just did a trip across the coast and back in literally 36 hours. So yeah, man, we're just rocking and rolling.
That was leaving at 4 a.m. on Wednesday, getting to LA at 9 a.m. and then leaving yesterday by 4 p.m. and getting back at 2 a.m. last night. Like I don't even know. I don't even know what time zone I'm in. I don't know what dimension I'm in right now. Very weird. Just like also didn't leave the hotel for like 28 hours. So, it's like I was like kind of like locked in like a little jail cell and then back to reality over here. But it's been a weird one, but it feels also kind of like, it's just, I hate when you get broken up, when the weeks get broken up, it's like Thanksgiving. It's like, all right, right in the middle of the week, kind of weird, get a little break. Then you come back and then it's the same thing right in the middle of the week. And then, I feel like I've done nothing. I feel like I've done
I
absolutely
know, man.
nothing.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I want my week back.
Right.
Like give me Monday again. Like, because I mean, dude, it was just absolutely crazy. The other part of the equation, right, was my kids were sick.
Oh,
My kids were sick, and one got sick, then the other got sick, and literally today's the first time that they've both been back at school in 2 weeks. So, my wife's traveling for work. I've got a bunch of stuff on my plate. Meanwhile, trying to like single dad it up. And dude, oh man. I mean, brutal, brother, brutal.
well, do you have a tire yet? I think that's an
I
important
do
piece
have
of
a tire. In fact, I have
good.
four new tires.
Wow. All right.
So
So sometimes it's this forced upgrade right there. It's the same thing. I did this like a couple months ago, except when I got my new tires, I think someone screwed. Yeah, either who was putting them on screwed up my axle. And as I'm driving over one of the bridges in New York, I have like six people honking at me. New York and me is like, like shut the hell up, like like turn
dude,
around, like I'm gonna kill somebody. And then I look out my rear window and there's smoke coming out of my car. I'm like, okay. Just drive it right to the mechanic. I don't even know what's going on. The guy's like, who did this? Like the great New York, like thick accent.
yeah,
Who changed your tire? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, some guy from a mobile service. Like, he's
bro, that
definitely
was,
screwed it up. He screwed it up. You gotta
dude,
fix
that's a
it.
great accent, dude. That is
I live
killer,
with it
dude.
every
You might
day.
just pull that out, Like,
I wish
Jesus.
there's kind of sometimes where I wish I had it because it's just so epic sometimes. I've grown to love it over the years,
Oh
but
my God,
don't have
man.
it in me. Don't have it in me. But yeah, no, I'm surrounded by it. I'm in Brooklyn. So,
It's
you
true.
always know.
That's true, brother.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah, man. Well, hey, I mean, I'm glad that we get to connect and have a little time to nerd out here, talk mid journey,
we need it.
talk beyond mid journey because there's a lot of shit happening, a lot, and we'll catch you guys up on that, obviously. And yeah, we're doing something a little bit different today. Sorry for the last minute notice. Obviously, our weeks have just been crazy, but Rory and I were just talking. We're like, man, we're overdue for a live session. So let's just do it. And we jumped on last minute. And man, for some reason, like LinkedIn makes this streaming thing way too hard. I don't have a problem with any other channel, but LinkedIn, I got two different links for the event. I'm looking now, dude. I don't even know if the event itself is pulling up. I think you have to go to my profile or your profile to see the live based on what I'm seeing. I know we're up on X. I know we're up on YouTube, so we're good there. But you know, dude, Murphy's Law continues into the weekend. So
We can generate an entire virtual world and reverse engineer,
that's right.
an image structure, but we have a really hard time setting up a LinkedIn Live.
That's right.
LinkedIn, if you're listening, help make this a little bit. The other thing that's really annoying with LinkedIn is that whenever, like, if you create an event, this is just stupid conjecture here. You create an event, you invite me to be a co-host. I can't like share the event like directly. I have to like technically repost your post. So
Yeah.
regardless, it gets like zero visibility because LinkedIn hates reposts. So I'm just like, and then I get invited to every goddamn live event, or I have to go through my notifications and just like delete, ignore. And then when we do it, it's like jumping through hoops. So, for seriously, I wish they would just make this way easier than it is. It's
Oh
one
my
feature.
God.
Still don't
Oh my God.
understand.
Dude, how have they not updated like 90% of their product in a decade? Like, what is going on, guys? Is anybody working there?
I
They're
don't know.
You know what? They're gonna
like
shadow ban us if.
All right, we gotta stop.
Yeah,
stop. Sorry, LinkedIn. Love you.
I mean, we got too much at stake to piss them off too much. So, listen,
Or it could just
man,
be useful feedback. LinkedIn.
that's true. It's constructive criticism, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
have that growth mindset, LinkedIn. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into, maybe we start with Midjourney, what's going on, or maybe what's not going on with the things that they have coming down in their roadmap. I've got the office hours notes up here. I'm just going to run through them really quick. Feel free to chime in if there's anything that pops out. But V7, right? We had the confirmation that that's no longer coming by end of year, which not a big deal at this point because we're already 3 weeks away from the end of the year. So that's coming in January. Pinky promise, we'll see.
Pinky promise. Yeah,
And
sure.
that's going to follow subsequently with a 7.1. I think they're trying to get V7 out the door. There's going to be some things that just don't make it in V7 that will then be pushed into V7.1, right? So just something to keep in mind there. The other piece of this, they're going to introduce a new aesthetic and personalization system with that. They're also planning some like slower but higher quality model variants, which could be interesting, right? Like they're always kind of asking people, would you rather have something that's slower and better or faster and cheaper, and not quite so good, right? So it's that argument that you can get like 2 of the 3, but not all 3.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. Obviously, video model as well is going to get pushed into 25. Talking about the same thing with video, right? The affordable versus like a premium model. Would you rather pay a lot more for it and have highest quality possible, or would you rather pay a little bit less and have lower quality, right? I think most of the time, the way I've seen these polls break out is people just want the highest quality possible. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're at that point. We just want to see the jumps, and if it takes a little bit longer, so be it. But I would rather roll something 2 or 3 times and get better quality than roll it 20 times and do it in 10 minutes. Like, just personally, I mean,
I have a weird. I think I might be in the minority on this one.
are you?
I don't know. I think I'm just spoiled with Runway. Like Runway, it's when you do Gen 3 Turbo and it pops out in 20 seconds and it's good. And then I'm like, I go to Kling and I hit the button and it's like, oh, yours will be done in 12 minutes. I'm like, ugh. Because sometimes, half of what I'm doing on there is testing anyway. I'm not expecting to get the first shot. So it's like, let me just see if this will work. And if it does, great. I'll just, awesome. I can play with that. Or if it doesn't work at all, I just want to know so I can move on. But like half the times with Kling, I'll even forget after 12 minutes because my brain's moving so fast that like I was generating anything and totally move on. Right. Like it's just like 12 minutes is like a lifetime, feels like at a certain point. But, I'm not knocking anyone for being slow on the quality. I think it's just, it feels like everything has to first go in that direction where it's like high quality and slow. And then we move to faster, cheaper. Like it seems like that's a development scale for just about every other one of these video generators.
Yeah.
So I'm not
I mean, I
get
your point too, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you want to stay, I don't want to like do it and then also jump around to tabs and then kind of forget about it for a while, right? Like you just kind of want to go there, do the job and dip, right?
Yeah.
There is something fun still with the experimentation part of it too. I just think like with video, maybe that's where it's just a little bit different for me. I just want like the highest quality possible at this point. Like, let's just get there.
we're spoiled with images too because they all come out quick. You know, like nothing takes 6 minutes anymore unless you're in relax mode, which that's like a death sentence to me. But it's like the interesting thing is like Topaz, right? Like for example, Topaz, when I just got a new computer, way more power, and now I can run it and things get done in 5 minutes instead of like it seemed like 3 hours for some videos to upscale. I just wouldn't use it, right? Like I was just like, it's not worth me waiting 3 hours for it.
Right.
Now that it can be done in 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's see how this looks. Because, I think it's just it's tough. Video's tough, regardless of how it's going to be. But I'm interested to see how they're going to do it because it always feels like they do something just slightly different than everything else. Every other tool kind of feels like it's following a similar path. We all know Midjourney likes their curveballs and their interesting sort of directions that they take on things. So I'm amped to see what it looks like. I don't have high expectations, I'm going to be honest. Like I just don't. And I'm not, that's not a knock on Midjourney. That's just me not trying to be like, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. And I get it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair too. Like I try to gauge their sense of excitement, enthusiasm in their voice too. It sounds like, right, they're trying to do this initial version, and then they obviously know they're going to make changes to it. And I mean, I think they're just kind of forced at this point to like push something. They've been talking about it so long, right? So I think if it were up to David, like he would keep tweaking and tweaking, but we'll see, man. And where's our friend Sora at?
I have a feeling that's coming. We got that sort of, I don't want to say leak, but it was a leak. And then you saw a couple people posting that were like, it's probably going to be coming in a few weeks. Then we get OpenAI saying we got 12 days of OpenAI. And, basically all that means is you just open up your checkbooks because we're going to make you pay for more things. So, like yesterday, I think they released the new O1 Pro or whatever that was. It's like, oh, you can get it $200 a month. I'm like, interesting, because you've conditioned everyone to pay $20 a month. Like there's no, that's a
let's
big
just 10x
jump.
it really quick. Yeah.
Right. Like I think that's a weird, I understand. Like I'm definitely going to test it to see if it's worth $200 a month. But at the same time, like that's a big jump from like a perception standpoint. Like how much better is it than, looking at the charts they put out, it's like, oh, the regular O1, not the preview, is like 75% better, and then that's 85% better. So I'm paying 10x for 15% improvement. Seems like a lot, but I can complain all I want about this, but I feel like I'm going to pay for some of this stuff at some point. I'm guessing Sora is just going to, I think it's probably going to be something like that too, like $100, $200 a month. There's no way they're rolling that out at $20 a month. I just don't see it. But
I mean, not even at the beginning though, right? Like,
I don't know. I just feel like they've been developing it for so long. Like if I'm taking this into consideration, right? Like if you can do 60-second generations and like, Runway started with 5, like Minimax 5, Kling 5. They've all kind of like pushed it to maybe 10 seconds. So it's 6 times that for the generating power, right? So if that's that's where we're going, I just have a feeling it has to be more expensive. But it's OpenAI, so who knows what other updates they have? At least maybe we'll see them this year.
I just can't imagine the video lengths being that long and being good. And what happens if you've got 45 great seconds and then right in the middle, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Let's keep going through these Midjourney office-hours notes, and then we'll transition because I know there's a lot on the AI creative front. So let's go through. We've talked about the video model. There's also the personalization profiles they've talked about rolling out. So for you guys that are using personalization on Midjourney, right? They've talked about sort of giving you several codes, multiple codes, right? They haven't really discussed or dissected how that will work exactly, right? Like, will you have a code that's specific for a certain style, or can you train it very specifically on a certain style, right? Like, no idea what that looks like. It would be just pure speculation, but I do think that's exciting, right? Like, I think the ability to fine tune based on the type of image you're putting together is super attractive, especially if you're bouncing around to different types of styles, or if you've got client work, right? Like different bucket areas that you're trying to produce for. Let's see. There's that new mood board feature, which we mentioned, I think, last time we were together. There's the storytelling stuff, which they did announce that they've got a demo planned for the next office hours for that. So that's next week. What is
Well,
that?
let's see. It seems like there's been a lot of promises lately.
There
and
have been a
not
lot of
delivery.
promises.
So
So the 11th
Yeah.
will be that, which would be interesting because they basically said, hey, we're going to let the storytelling team come up and talk and show some things, because relatively up to this point, been very hush hush, right? Only that we've got this storytelling team and they're working on something very special. So we'll see what that's all about.
we'll see. I mean, I think this is probably one of the things that I've noticed about office hours, right? Like I write them every week in I wish I got to tune in, more often, but it just comes at a really bad time during the week, like that 2-3 o'clock time frame. But I've been writing this in my stupid newsletter every week. It's just like the office hours. And it's like, yeah, developments made. It's like, what's going on? Like you just keep saying it, and then it's like, oh yeah, seven will be ready next week. 7 will be ready in 3 weeks. 7 will be ready by the end of the year. 7 will be. It just seems like the same sort of pattern in terms of like, oh, we're working on it. Great. Like if you don't have any updates, just don't say anything. It's like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just don't be like making progress. Had team members out sick this week, didn't get anywhere. It's like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so
It just seems
care,
like, like we've talked about it just seems like they're getting out shipped left and right
Yeah.
right now. I mean, and obviously they've got constraints. They're not VC backed. They don't have any funding coming in. Everything is just revenue based on, plans and usage from their customers. They have no outside money coming in that at least is public or formal in that regard, which obviously there are pros and cons, but I think the tough part for them is they don't have these big bags of money they can just burn through. I mean, sure, they do have a lot of money with the user base that they've got, but it's much more limited in what they can do and how fast they can do it. I did get the sense, and they did talk quite a bit on the last call about how it is a big priority for them to start shipping faster. And they sort of like wanted to test that out in sort of like a micro poll format of, would you rather have fewer but very large updates or more frequent kind of smaller things? But even the smaller things they were saying is like style reference, character reference. To me, those were big things.
Those are great. I mean, that was,
you know what I mean? Like, so if those are if those are the
Yeah.
small things, give me more of those. Like, but I think we need faster movement here. They need faster movement because, I mean, it just seems like everybody else is moving so fast. And that kind of maybe segues perfectly into, some of these other tools, right, that are out there. And, Runway, for example, getting into frames. Runway is getting into AI image gen stills. And super excited for that. You and
Very.
I had a
Yeah.
chance to sit with one of the co-founders of Runway and somebody else from their team, and they gave us sort of a little bit of a preview of that. And I came away with a few things. One, they mentioned that the look was going to be a little bit more cinematically focused. Also, I think like just from a user standpoint, it's very interesting now that they've done the video thing first, then reverse engineered to do the still, right? And refine that. But, maybe what I'll do really quick, I actually have this pulled up, is I'll just kind of share this look really quick that they've got up on their website here. So let's go here and let's go here. You can see this, Rory?
I got you. Yep.
Okay,
Let's do it.
cool. So this is on their site. This is on Runway's site. I'm just going to kind of scroll through here, but base model, they're specifically focused on, maintaining a stylistic consistency. They're looking for cinematic photography type looks. I mean, what's on here, right? Didn't feel cherry picked either when we were talking to them. They were just kind of showing us examples of things that they generated right in their feed, right?
In the interface. Yep.
Right
And
in the
there was
interface.
It was not a lot of morphing. It wasn't a lot of crap, to be honest. It was all somewhat polished right off the bat, like maybe 1 or 2 reruns per image or prompt. So that was something cool to notice about it.
Yeah.
That it was pretty clean.
It's pretty clean. And, also the other thing that was mentioned too, now that I just thought about this, was text,
Yeah.
and them really refining text as well in the imagery, and not just like a little bit. This looked very, very good. So going back to that sort of live example, not cherry picking in their UI, they were just showing us different text examples that they had. And for example, I think there were batches of 4, right? It's just like the text was hitting on all 4, right?
Definitely. And there was, to before getting too deep into frames, I want to, I think Runway from a marketing standpoint has been rolling this stuff out extremely well because it started with Gen 3 and I thought they did that in a great way where it was just like you can just text prompt. That's it. Then it was like, okay, now you can image reference. Okay, now you can video reference. Okay, now you can expand. Okay, now you can do act 1, right? Like these little small updates that are seemingly insignificant, one keeps them in the top of mind for people like trying and testing the new tools, but two, it also gives you an opportunity to learn them before you have to take a whole like stack of things and try to learn at the same time. So to me, it's very easy. It's like going through like a course almost. Learn this first, get good at it, then move on to this, then move on to this, then move on to this. I think it's a very smart way to do it. So then this with frames, I would also probably expect the same sort of like rollout in that regard, where it's going to be probably just text to image first. Then you might be able to add a style reference. Then you might be able to create multiple or character consistency. From what we saw, it's just going to be text to image to start. It's a foundational model, so they built this thing from the ground up, which looks awesome. But
that's the other key point, right? Yeah, that's a great point. They built this from the ground up. This is not built on anything else. Super interesting. You could tell too. Look at these. I mean, these cinematic shots. I mean, you can get stuff like this in Midjourney from a cinematic standpoint, where it doesn't look plasticky or anything like that. But right, like one of the things that they brought up on the call was just the ability to dial into more of a natural, look with some of the faces, right? That is one of the things that I think Midjourney still has, right? I mean, you'll get a lot of beautiful faces unless you prompt for things otherwise, right? Whereas these feel more ordinary people-ish.
And especially like even on that man with the gray beard, right? Like
Yeah.
the eye bags, they're inconsistent on both sides. They're not symmetrical. The skin wrinkles, they're like kind of natural, like across the face. Even the skin texture on his right cheek or left cheek there, like with the light shining off of it. That stuff to me is like the fine tuning process, and even like the definition between the hairs on his beard and the contrast there. Like that's impressive. I think that's where some of these other tools fail, and it's really in stuff like that because it starts to look so polished. The one thing I'm going to be cognizant of is like if we scroll down here, I think I want to make sure that this is going to be a thing because everything is expressionless. That's the only negative I see on this. If that as soon as you say it, we pull up. As soon as I say it, we pull up one that's got an expression.
Yeah,
but everything else.
Sorry to do you like that.
Everything else is pretty much we got blowing a bubble, which is pretty hard.
Yeah.
Regardless in any of the tools. But as you can see, Faye wants to chime in as well, so everyone knows she's back and better than ever after being away for a few days.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that really has every tool needs a little bit more like refining on is facial expression, because they're also model face every once in a while, which is that blank expression. And that gets to be, unless you're prompting for it, sort of like annoying. So I'm looking forward to this one specifically, considering the range of styles that we saw and what they showed us.
This might be the most excited I've been since maybe Midjourney dropped, I think, to be honest. I'm more of a still guy. I mean, I'm going to be doing a lot more video, but to me, I just love photography so much. So I'm really, really excited that we've got somebody that can go toe to toe. You know what I mean? And it's a very original sort of approach. And I like the things that they were focused on within their presentation. They were asking us too some questions, right? Like, where do you think there's some opportunity? And I thought you and I brought up a couple of really good things, right? We talked about expressions, which you just mentioned, right?
Yep.
That's the default with, I think, any of these programs, but we use Midjourney a lot. Unless you prompt for an expression, right? You're just getting that straight face, right?
Yeah.
You're not even getting anything candid. You're just getting somebody looking into the camera and just like, right? And at first you don't really mind it until you realize that that's literally so easy. Everybody can do it. And it's not unique. It doesn't tell the story. It doesn't drive emotion. So I think that's a really interesting thing. And we brought that up. The other thing that we mentioned too, right, Rory, was camera angles as well, right? I think we were just trying to figure out like, look, camera angles and expressions are two really, really good opportunities to drive emotion and storytelling within the images.
That to me was important. Of course, composition was important to me too, in terms of like not just having like
Asymmetric, yeah.
the medium shot, every single shot, like that sort of look that it seems like, granted, I think Flux overdoes it on the medium shot sort of thing, and that's where I get frustrated with it, because sometimes it's harder to push it back or away. But the other thing that they nailed and what I noticed was, and I'm glad that this was in the thought process because they brought it up specifically, but I was going to ask the question, was like the attention to motion in a shot. So in Midjourney and other image generators, it's a little bit harder to create motion based on prompting, because sometimes it's very difficult to, if a car is driving to the left, to get everything moving back the other direction, right? So you have like the dust and smoke maybe behind the tires, or it's kicking up something like snow or water in the background. Like that stuff's hard, but what they showed us was really good because they're training on a lot of moving images and things like that, which also tend to work better in the generator. So if you can start to add that into the mix, it's more consistent and like, it doesn't overdo the motion to where we can get some subtle baked in. I'm really looking forward to that, because those are the ones I've done a lot of tutorials on this thing, is like how much better Runway or any of the image generators work for that with like motion baked into the images, because you're starting from a better spot.
Yeah.
This was also impressive, this collage stuff.
Thank you.
This
You
was
want to
really
dive into that a little bit really quick?
Yeah. So they were showing us this collage stuff. You ever tried to create anything that's a little bit more abstract or collage in like maybe even like a mood board in Midjourney, any of the other programs? Like you might get 80% of it good, but 20 to 10% of it will be like super weird and like morphed. So this, with all these different elements, layered on top of each other, cut together, somewhat coherent, it looks like almost. To me, that's really impressive. That's very complex. So
and maybe even to have control over where certain things are in the image, right? I feel like that's where Midjourney's, well, in any of these generators are limited right now, is like you could maybe get so far as to say, hey, look, you want somebody on the left, somebody in the middle, somebody on the right. You've got like a group of people, but you start getting into these objects, right, and where you want them placed, it becomes very difficult for that coherence to grasp those things.
Mm-hmm.
So this type of stuff, I think, is going to unlock, some new usages as well. Specifically, if you're like from like a brand standpoint as well, like marketing, brand. There's some real good storytelling opportunities that exist within here.
And they're pushing it. Like you can just see Runway's vision. It's very clear now. It is like we are going after the enterprise corporate environment, right? Like maybe that's just my opinion, but they're making partnerships with big brands, with big sort of content providers, and they're really pushing towards like you can do an end-to-end system in here. You have, this advanced motion capture, you have, video to video, you have image to video, now you have text to image.
Yeah.
Then they're going to do that latent space thing, which I didn't even like comprehend the first time when they laid it out. I was like, wait, so we can create like almost like multi-dimensional timelines? Like this is this is a different thought process.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot, because that to me is like we're also playing. Like that to me is like we're playing, because no one else is really doing that. From a thought process standpoint. So I was like, this is cool. Like this is a different way to I like this sort of nonlinear storytelling idea. So, they definitely have, you can tell they have like a creative, but like this isn't coming from like NVIDIA, right? Like it's not like super tech focused. Like it's not like a giant tech company doing AI things. It feels like a bunch of creative people doing AI things, right? Because that's not something that I would be thinking of. Candidly, I think that was a pretty creative idea. I don't even know how to explain it properly. That's how cool it is. So that one's
exciting though.
very.
I'm real pumped about that one. What about also, I mean, Magnific is shipping like crazy, bro. I think going back to when Magnific was just this upscaler, I was a little hater on it. I mean, I was, because I was just like, man, it's cool to upscale, but you really don't need to upscale everything. right? It depends on where you're going to use the image, right? I mean, and a lot of these 99% of these images don't leave your archive, okay? But as they sort of like built and built and built, and they've got style transfer and all these other things, but now they release the editorial portraits. Pretty impressed with some of the stuff I got back in there. I think it's a great sort of like V1, I guess, if you will, as they continue to refine it. But I was getting results back that almost felt too real, where it was like, because I'll do some like juxtaposition or surrealism or conceptual photography as well sometimes. And with that, it's almost like you want realism, but you don't want to go like all the 100% of the way there, like maybe like a 90, 95%. But, I was doing my like infamous nun with a gun, with her golden pistol and her golden teeth, and I just get back like this straight laced lady and she's like, hold the gun. I mean, it was kind of funny, but I was just like, yo, this is too real. Like it's too literal,
Yeah, very literal. I've noticed that as well. Pretty good though. I mean, granted, I love generating in 4K to start, which is nice.
Absolutely.
I think what I like about Magnific is like they like stay in their lane, and it's like I don't use any other tool for upscaling other than them because it is just so good, and I can get exactly what I want. Sooner or later, the only one feature I would like is either like a masking feature where like something doesn't have to get upscaled, or like not in that sense, like, or like an in painting feature in that, because like there's sometimes where you'll have like a guy wearing like a patterned shirt, right, or something like that, or someone wearing like a pattern, and then like you'll upscale it and it'll like morph some of the patterns into like another hand or like some like really weird object, and I'm like, I don't need that. I just need, or like it'll turn like an ear with an earring into like a really fat ear or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it just sometimes it does that weird stuff. But the editorial portrait side, I was pretty impressed. I mean, I did some macro stuff. I did an alligator eye that had such insane definition. I was like, this is crazy.
Pull it up, dude. Let's see it. I was just gonna scroll through this so you guys can get a sense if you haven't seen it, right? So focused a lot on, close-ups, medium shots, macros even, right? So it doesn't even have to be a person. Could be like a bug or a bee or something like that, right? These are all the same prompt, just to kind of give you an idea. I mean, these are pretty incredible. I mean, outside of this earring, not in the hoop, not in the ear, but like just the color, the quality, like you said, right? So these are already, you could put these in 4K, I think, right out of the gate. I think I put these in 2K. I mean, these are sharp already. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you get into, let me see if I got some of those none with the gun idea. Yeah. Like these were like, this is just silly, right?
That's like sister, sister Jane right there. Like that looks like someone I grew up with.
Like, so, these were funny, but at the same time, it's like, it's a little too real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like, dude, it's just wild.
Yeah, I like that though. It's like that one's like funny. If you scroll back up real quick.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Even
Look at the it's got the grills
screwed, but
killing it. One? That one right there, the one right above it.
This one?
That one, which is just like like a
super the end of it.
Yeah, but also just like her face. That's like it's like every nun I've ever known in my entire life.
God, right. But you know a lot of nuns, huh?
I did. Well, I grew up in a Catholic family. Went to church a lot. Not so much.
How do we not know that about each other? I went to a Catholic school all the way through high school, bro.
Hey, there it is. It's we had our nuns back in the day, CCD, all that stuff. Get
convent. Wasn't it called like a convent, right?
Something like that. Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. every year, every week for
doing fish fries and stuff, bro.
Oh God, you get fish fries.
Fries.
We didn't do any fun stuff like that.
Is that a Midwest thing? I don't know, man. That cod was hitting though. That cod was good.
We definitely did not have fun. If we got a random pizza party every like 6 months, that'd be cool. Maybe like a bake sale. But it was going after school to CCD, basically just trying to make it through while we're learning about the Bible. Faye obviously doesn't like it right now. Let me see this. Let me pull up this alligator eye real quick.
I was
'Cause I
gonna
thought this
say, yeah,
was
pull it up.
pretty damn cool.
Faye, our podcast mascot.
She is ever present and very loud now that she's teething. Let's see.
You gotta drop that video too, where you that one you sent me.
I do have to put that one up. Faye's duet with Taylor Swift, but
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
thought
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing was
Look at
pretty
that.
insane. I mean,
Look at
I
that.
just like the eye definition here,
Yeah,
like a lot of different colors, marbling, like even on the skin.
I mean that
Like this-
macro is that's better than Midjourney macro Q2.
Oh yeah, this is next level. Which I was like, I could really do something with this, like all this different kind of like macro environment sort of shots, which I love. Yeah, I tested it on a few things. I tend to think like here's my biggest gripe with it is that it ends up looking like Midjourney 5.2, like where everyone is perfect. You know, like I'm not getting. I was trying to get like a younger face, a more average face when I was prompting, but I ended up just getting like these like model looking crazy sharp eyes, thick eyebrows, perfect lips. Like it's not that's not the child soldier that I was envisioning when I was doing it. But I've also found there's a big difference in like or doing it in 16:9 versus doing it in 3x4. So you get like a little bit more lifestyle in 16:9 versus actual like portrait style in 3.4. So that was just
Yeah,
one thing that I noticed with it. But I was digging it when I used it. I kind of stopped using it because then I got pulled into every other image generator tool like Luma now that has
yeah.
one
Let's
as well
let's.
as Photon.
I mean, let's talk about that too, right? Like Luma's popping too now. They've got a lot
Yeah.
of things that have changed and dropped. I honestly I was sitting in on just telling you this. They had a creator program call yesterday. I was sitting in on that. I mean, it was just like everybody introducing themselves, but there were so many talented people in there. It was just wild to hear everybody's sort of like background and experience and how they're sort of like driving this change in their own respective spaces and industry. So exciting stuff. Luma, definitely something to keep an eye on with them as well. What was your take on Photon? I actually haven't played with Photon yet.
I like the interface. It feels like they took the Dolly approach where you can kind of like interact and chat with like your images as you're generating them in a sense. Like, oh, like give me this. Okay, let's change her hair color to blonde. Like you're not gonna get the same exact like image, but it's a good way to like I think like thought process wise go through it and maybe like, oh, I want to change this. They have a brainstorm feature, meaning like, oh, we can take this in a different direction, but like keep the same theme of what we're doing. So it's like an interactive workspace, which I think is a cool idea. And
Yeah.
it's like a nice, refreshing way to go about creating within that space. So, image quality to me still feels like Midjourney 5.2, right? Like just what it looks like. That's where I think most of these things still keep getting to before they get to 6.1. But I'm finding it hard on a lot of these other image generators to get any sort of level of creativity that Midjourney has. That's the one thing that's still just far and ahead. Like when you put a generic prompt in Midjourney and you get something absolutely ridiculous, like once in a lifetime photo, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago. You put that into Photon, you put that into Flux. It's just like whatever. You put that into Midjourney, you get something crazy stupid because the creativity level on Midjourney to me is just like the differentiator. It goes far, and you don't realize until you use other tools, right? When you're looking for something super creative, like that's the thing. That's the differentiator plus the level of control, right?
It's still unmatched there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, it's really interesting with that storytelling piece. What is that going to be? What's that going to be? Because here's the other thing. I'm surprised no one's really, well, it might exist. Maybe I got this from somewhere, but how cool would it be to essentially create a string of images in one go? You're kind of, so maybe this is something with storytelling, but you've got a basic or simple idea of a story, let's call it. And instead of getting like a single image, you're getting groups of 3 or 4 images in that story, right? That connect. That to me is something that I haven't seen anybody tackle yet. Like
Interesting.
remember your Tulum example?
Yeah.
Right. What if you were saying something about staying at a hotel and you just kind of give it an idea or a story or an arc, and then all of a sudden you get, let's just call it the grid of 4 back, but each grid has 3 sort of frames in it. You know what I mean? Like that to me is an untapped, powerful feature that could be driven further, because right now when you think about it, everything is very individual with the images, right? Which is okay, but I don't think that's sustainable over time, right? Because then you gotta, okay, I've got this image, now I gotta create this one, right? But it's just like, why can't you just match the style and do everything in one go, right?
Yeah. I think it's to me it's like a very interesting way to think about it too, right? I do like that idea, and like maybe it's a similar thing to keyframes, where it's like you put this image in, you get this image, then it like generates kind of like the story in between, which is to me that's what you have to do with the video generators anyway, right? Like basically they are creating all these in like 20 frames per second, 24 frames per second in between the 2 keyframes, and then like applying the motion to it, but interpolating it at the same time. So it's like they're kind of gonna have to go the same, maybe go the same route with that. I'm interested to see if they're gonna add like another piece of the website. Like, is storytelling going to be like its own edit tab, or is it just going to live within the normal UX of what's going on? Right. That's, to me, that's the interesting part of where this could go, because that's why maybe it's taking so long.
What are your plans in January?
God. Well, at least it's
cold.
This
is going to drop when you're traveling, or I'm traveling.
Of course. Why wouldn't it? It'll be Christmas Eve night or something like that, when you can't work on it for 3 days, and then you'll see 75,000 posts on any sort of platform. Midjourney update with no one actually using it. It's just like, here's what you need to know. And I'm just curious as to what's going to be rolled out first. Like, is it going to be 6 or 7, and then like video is going to come out after? Is it going to be video first? Is it going to be like any sort of inkling into 3D? Because I feel like the 3D stuff is like, it's a pipe dream at this point. I don't know. I felt like they said it was like on track to be before video, and now it's like infinitely delayed.
Yeah, we don't even. Yeah, we're not even getting updates on that. Be very, very curious to see what happens. Hey guys, while you're with us, we're also going to open this up for questions. We've got plenty of time here, so if you guys have specific questions that you want us to address, whether it's Midjourney or Runway or Luma or Magnific or Krea or whatever the hell tool you're using.
Ooh.
Oh, should we talk about?
Let's do Krea.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
What about that Hunwan? The Hunwan video.
Oh, it looks pretty good.
The new kid on the block.
It looks pretty good. Open source. I haven't personally tested it. I've seen some.
Did a little last night. Just a little last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd it work? How long did it take?
I mean, I thought it did take a while.
Okay.
Like,
I figured it would be a minute.
If I had to take a guess, like 15, 20 minutes a gen.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, it is open source. It is like brand new. So were you trying to do like anything complex, or was it fairly standard?
What was I trying to do? I think I was just trying to do like a first person POV of somebody on a motorcycle riding through the streets of Matera. Matera, like from 007.
I was going to say, that reminds me of, that was very James Bond of you to do that.
Yeah. I mean, there was some pretty cool stuff there. But I'll be honest, I got pretty good stuff on Runway too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it's so weird which one I choose now. Like, it's very specific and defined. Like, Minimax to me still has the best motion. Like, if you can get the most creative, like if we're talking like creativity scale, Minimax has the most creative ability. Runway to me is the most consistent in terms of like, I can do just about really 90% of the things I want on there with the tools they have. And then Kling is, I need something extremely specific. Like, the motion brush to me with the multiple, like having that feature with the arrows drawing is so easy now in comparison. That was like a nice update on what Runway did with the motion brush, because it used to be like you had to toggle like the weights of how far you wanted things to go left or right. The arrow is like ingenious of a way to do it. The only thing that doesn't work with, or I've had trouble with, is depth. So like, if I have something that's in the foreground and I want to move it to the background, it's hard to draw an arrow that way. You know what I mean? Because it just looks like it's going up, right? Like, it's there's not enough 3D sort of plane in there for it to do that, to work on the, I think it's the Z axis, X, Y, Z. Yes, I think. So that's, hey, these are like little things.
Oh my God,
but,
man. Chill.
Dude, hey, I get excited about when you can control this stuff and do what you want.
Chill, buddy.
Because, hey-o. So the other thing, I think someone mentioned this up here before. It was like something about the subscriptions to all of the, it's like, I don't want to pay for all the subscriptions. Where is this? It's tough being subscribed to so many of these video platforms looking for a gem, and only one in 7 generations are decent.
Yep.
I like personally, like I think if anyone's just getting started on this stuff and wants to try a bunch of them, Krea is the best place to do it, because you can test all of them at this point, and they all have different uses, right? So I got to get back into Luma a little bit. I've been kind of like fading them, but maybe with this new Photon, it'll be a little bit better to
remember Pika? They've already gone back under a rock. I mean, they had those 48 hours, and then it was just like, geez, okay.
You can squish something or explode something, and that goes viral, and then it's like, and they're gone.
and they're gone. Somebody else ships something new. So
the other thing I want to mention here is Krea has been just like pumping, and I think it's my favorite platform of the moment, just based on their direction of what they're doing. They're making things so easy. It's like, to me, the beginner's platform. Like you can test a lot of things on there. You can learn a lot of things. It's not overly complicated in terms of what it is, but like the Lora training, even that, so easy, so fast. I did one this morning of myself in 10 minutes. It was done from start to finish, between curating my images, uploading it, and generating. But the other thing that's great is the auto tagging. Because like when I look at this also, if we let me pull this up real quick. Faye is really just
pull it up.
Hey,
shout out to Moody, by the way. This guy or girl is just like killing it with the comments. We appreciate
Hell
that. It's super interesting, and it's kind of like when you're just comparing features, right? And like this goes back to the whole Midjourney community conversation. You need to get the stickiness of a community behind any of these tools, right? Because just to Pika's point, right, you could have something cool and it's cool for 2 days, and then somebody else ships something new.
Yep.
Right. Whereas it's like, okay, well, Midjourney, I've been sticking with Midjourney for a long time now. You and I both. Why? Well, one is the quality, but two is also because that was our horse, and they've made the updates. It's continued to be good, right? And in a lot of ways, we base some of our workflows, within it, and that's where we become comfortable, right? And so these video tools too, that's where there's opportunity, right? You got to build brand affinity. You've got to increase your stickiness, so people aren't just going to choose what's latest and greatest.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, because it's like, but that's why I'm like really digging what Krea is doing. I mean, seriously, this took me, I uploaded 16 images of myself.
Blow your,
just from all this.
Put that all the way. Can you full screen that?
Full screen, let's see. Can you see that now?
I mean, I can see it. It looks like you could,
because it's really
scale.
like, yeah, this one, these are all the images of me, right? Like, it's just like me from my wedding day, like nothing crazy. These are just like my wedding pictures. It was something that I had myself in the same outfit in multiple situations. But, when it starts to replicate, right? Like, insane that's not me. Like, that's pretty damn good. Everything from the tuxedo itself down to wearing no socks on the shoes, to when we get into even more stuff over here, or my assets, like the way that it is able to get the subtleness of my beard. Like, I know I have a hole in my beard there, right? Like, I know that day I didn't shave the top of my face, so I have some like stubble up on my cheeks, and I have a little bit of sunburn because I was sitting in the sun before I got it. It's weird that it picks this stuff up, because some of this is so good. Like, I could never know that. Even
we were just talking about this, and you said, I think you said you based this off of what, 12 to 15 images, right?
12 to 15 images. Like, it even gets my sunglasses, not like nails those, the ones that I was wearing that day. So like some of these images you'd never, to me, like I could pass these off. Like I could pass that off as an
100%.
image. I could pass that off as an image. It even gets like this weird,
Pass it
like
off.
some of these weird hairs that I
Dude,
have.
you could absolutely. Yeah, like no doubt.
No one
pass
would
that
ever
off.
know. No one would ever know. And then even some of the stuff where it's a little bit more generative in nature, where it's not like what I'm wearing, where I was dropping the style weight down a little bit, whereas this other one of me in a different, different tuxedo. I just couldn't believe that. Like this one, I prompted myself for a different tuxedo. It still kept my tie with that same little subtle pattern, which I was like, man, this is really good. Some of these are pretty actual. Into like this one to me is like really actual in terms. I have side profile pictures, even like the scale of my hands. I have large hands. Everyone, not to like call that out. Just like a thing that I know about it. So I see it in pictures too. It's like I hold my hands up. It's like, damn, those things they look out of proportion. But
What
it
about
nailed it.
shoes? What shoe size are you rocking?
12-ish,
Yeah.
12 in dress shoes,
And
11
how
and a
tall are
half
you?
in like sneakers, 5'11", 5'10",
Yeah. Okay.
somewhere along
Yeah. I
those
mean,
lines.
we're like the same then. We're the same.
Yeah.
We're the same guy, maybe.
Dude, I just can't believe some of this stuff. This one had screwed up the tuxedo, but regardless, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's
Yeah.
like,
Pretty
this
dope.
took 5 minutes, and that's probably the best I've seen. That's just trained on Flux. That's not like one of these specific tools. It's not one of these specific tools that's like a AI portrait generator of yourself to do like work headshots and whatnot.
Right.
But
Right.
that was, I mean, I'm gonna have to play around with this a lot more now on Krea. I just think it's something that's pretty crazy. But yes, you can, Angela. Yes, you can change the entire outfit. You just have to prompt for it. I was just trying to kind of get this live and get myself in a little bit of a different like poses and aesthetics to see how it handled that. Then the clothes, you can change it. It's just that accuracy was insane to me. Like I said, that one little patch right here, it even nails that, which is
Yeah.
so weird
Did you see
to
this
me.
question from Angela here?
What it say?
Just says, can you change entire outfit? Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. You can change the entire outfit. It's you have to. It's like there's weights on how much you can like influence of like the style that you've inputted or like the lore that you've trained. So you can like bring it all the way up. It's gonna look exactly like you in like all of your training images, or you can bring it all the way down. I would probably suggest using more neutral clothes in the training data, so it's a good mixture. Because I'm wearing the tuxedo in all of them, it's going to be pretty close to that, like from a model training standpoint. So like I'm going to have to like work hard to get it out of that. But if you're using like I think that's just general Laura model training sort of like best practices there. If you want
Yeah.
to have like neutral clothes on, like or your character with neutral clothes, because something very defined like a tuxedo, it's going to end up looking like that all the time.
Tell us what you mean by neutral clothes.
So it's, like t-shirts, basics, like basic stuff. Not a lot of heavy graphics, not a lot of heavy patterns. Things that are not going to like really affect the training data. So
I think
it's
that's
much
a good
easier.
point. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, much easier to work off a gray t-shirt than it is to work off like a like buffalo check or like a chevron pattern. Like that's going to influence a lot of things.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it nailed the sunglasses too, man. Like it got
Dude,
the
yeah, that's
frame,
wild.
the frames down, the ombre color of it. I was like, what the hell is going on here? So that is, are you capable of saving out the training lore mod? You know what? That's an awesome question, Moody. I didn't even think of that. Let me go check if you can.
Yeah, that would
if
be
you can
interesting.
download it.
Great question. Shout out to I'm gonna call a few people out here. See Retro Punk here. What's up, buddy? Dan. Love you, man. Thanks for showing up. Seems like you had some interesting stuff that you just tagged on LinkedIn. Thanks for directing people over to YouTube as well. LinkedIn, Jesus, bro.
We're the worst.
What else? Did we have anything else? I think that's it. Well, let's see. Yeah, somebody just talking about Minimax. Yeah. So, I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, just crazy movement. So many things shipping.
Yeah.
And how do you stay on top of it? Like, dude, it's just so hard. And I even think I'm just like, I do this stuff every day. You do this stuff every day. And I see people like playing with every little thing that comes out. I'm just like, what do y'all do? What do you
This?
what do y'all do?
This? I mean,
Like,
even Runway today. Runway shipped Act 1 with movement now. So like instead of it just being static me talking like this, like I can upload a video of myself like moving, walking in a scene, and then it's going to animate my face for motion capture. Like, come on. This is crazy. And
Hey, what was the other? Who was the other one that came up with? I'm just having a blank right now. With the you can animate, or you can do video with 2K images. Who launched that? It was pretty solid too. Did you see that?
No,
I
I don't
think it
think
happened
so.
while you were traveling, so it was like the
Maybe.
last 48 hours. I'll have to find that. It's just, or if you know, put it in the comments. It's just I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, and Kling try on Angela, good call out. That was a good one. I like it. It's not precise. It's not perfect. I did a workflow on
It's
Twitter that I got
good
to
post on
share.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a workflow on Twitter that I got to share of using like thinking about it a little bit differently because the try on feature. My only gripe with it is that when you render the clothes onto the model, like it loses fidelity and image quality. So then you have to upscale it, and then it upscales like it kind of morphs
Maybe
things
different
out of
stuff.
proportions. Yeah, and then so I was doing something like, all right, here's the people were like, oh, but you can't do a graphic tee. I'm like, oh, let's see if it can do it in a different way, not specifically with try on, where I was like, I generated a model, and then I generated just like or I went and pulled like a blank tee, like a Gildan something, like a Gildan whatever, just like a blank that most of these T-shirts are printed on. Then I just did like the try on there. So then I got the model, and then I brought it into Illustrator and took like a vector image and put the live, did the mock up in Illustrator, so that you have like the full sort of layout across like the wrinkles and everything like that, and then re-uploaded it into Kling, and it worked that way, and the graphics stayed true. So, like that's you just might have to take an extra step. I'm sure that tool will improve. I'm it just didn't really make sense to me as like Kling. Like, why try on of all the features? Like that was an interesting one for them to sort of upload into the environment. But
Do they have a creator program over there at Kling?
which one?
Kling.
Yeah, I'm
They
in
do?
it apparently. But
Do they? I
I
mean, do
mean,
they do any kind of communication?
it was kind of just like they got to me, on Twitter, and was like, "Oh, we'd love to have you in the creator program." And they're like, "We'll give you some free credits." And I looked
I
it
mean,
up.
but
There's like,
did they do like a meeting or anything, like just sharing roadmap or like office hours or
not that
anything
I
like that?
know, not that I know. I mean, Runway's really great at that. I think they have a really awesome creator program where once you're in, they're constantly updating and they're generating, sort of meetups for us where we can go and talk and like share things and giving us updates on the platform. They're super engaged with their creators. Like
Yeah,
they like it. Like you can tell that they enjoy feeding us and letting us go and do, whatever the hell we want to do
I think we're
with
gonna
it and
get them
share it.
on the pod here. We're gonna get somebody from Runway on the pod.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to do that sooner rather than later too. So just stay posted on that. I think the other thing too, like we'll probably do that with a few. We're trying also to get in touch with Midjourney. If you want to be on the pod, if you want to do anything, community driven outside of the office hours, let us know. We're here. We're advocates. Don't leave us hanging. The people want to hear from you. I think Luma would also be a good one. Krea would be also another good one if we can get them on. Same with Magnific. So all the tools that we talked about today. Where else do you want to go with this, man? Is there anything else we want to touch on? Guys, if you have any other questions,
What else we
now's the
got here?
time. Pop them in the chat. Let us know.
Dan, you guys seen 11 Labs conversational AI? Super cool. Love that. Gonna try to get Justin on from 11 Labs. Been in a little bit of a group chat with him, so hopefully we'll get some of these people here on the podcast soon to really go deep. These might even be good for live, Drew, if we get them at some point, so we can get some live questions from some of these people. Not saying we'll
That
do
would
it on the
be,
first run.
that's a
but
great call. Yeah.
yeah. I think
Hey,
it'd be
here's a
really cool.
question for you. Storyboarding. Which tool?
Well, personally, I'm using Midjourney. That's just me. But there's a couple ones now, like LTX has an easy storyboarding type environment. I think that one's pretty good in regards to like how you can actually control it easily. I've seen the interface. I worked on it for like a day, and I was like, well, all right, this is like if you just need to get up and running and don't necessarily need control of every fine grained detail, in terms of like the aesthetic. If you want a storyboard, you can do it there. And it's easy to like, you can choose your character and place them across different scenes. You can add props. It's very like click and point versus like type and like be creative with text. So I would suggest that one if you need something easier. Like if you want to control every piece of it, I would say Midjourney to me still. Flux for maybe character training and doing it that way, but I'm more of
I think they're all going to move that way anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
What about,
I honestly haven't tried Lumas yet. I tried, going through and generating images on Photon. I didn't try the storyboarding, but that's something I'll probably get into over the weekend.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty solid too. I got to try that out myself too. What about current price point for Krea? Is it worth it? I think absolutely. You've got all the tools consolidated in one place. It's kind of what we're looking for and we need, to be honest, because right to the point of we've got so many different video models, we've got so many different AI image generations. Like, yeah, some are good at other things than others, and like there's strengths of some, weaknesses of some. So I mean, if you can consolidate that, I think that's ultimately going to be more efficient for people's workflows and trying to get stuff done.
Let's just take a look at this real quick, because I think some of this stuff gets hidden where Krea doesn't really update it that much or like really give you the best marketing on it. So you can generate images on here with Flux. You can do video in any of the models, right? When you generate videos, right, you can choose any of the models, whichever ones you want to use. They have the APIs to them all, which is great. They have the real-time generator, which is fun. They have the enhancer, so you have an upscaler, but they also have like these little mini apps. You can do patterns, you can do logos and illustrations. If you go into edit, actually edit's not live yet, but edit's going to be like the answer to Midjourney in terms of generative inpainting, right? Like that, it looks really good. I don't know how great it is, but it looked pretty good on the demo. The other thing here is, where is real-time image? Let me see if they have because there's like an infinite canvas in here.
Yeah,
well. I'm forgetting where it is.
See, that's the problem. There's just like it's so much to keep track. Who's doing what? Like who? Like, dude, please. That's why I think I don't even know what Krea's current price is, but it's probably worth it.
I think it's like there's like 30 and 60. I'm just seeing if you can bring this into like the infinite canvas here. I haven't played with this in like a couple days, so I always forget where they moved everything. But again, like when you're going through and you're trading, you can train models. You can also go and add other models that are like within the gallery of community models. So if like someone else is training on something, you can go use their trained styles as long as they're made public. So that's just, to me, if there's a tool where you want to get a good taste of everything, like Krea's exceptional for that, and just like having a fun time with it.
Yeah,
they could just do stuff that other tools can't, all in one place.
Yeah, maybe also like a really good opportunity for those that are just getting their feet wet with a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah.
Right. Because everything's in one place. Another reason for that. But let's see. We had a question. Will this be your weekly live schedule moving forward? Maybe a hit or miss. I think Rory and I both talked about doing more live sessions. That's actually what was, really the impetus for us to do this anyway, is we started doing a lot of LinkedIn lives, ironically enough. And we had great turnouts. The community has always been super supportive of us both, and we're super thankful for that. But we just got to the point where it was just like, okay, like, let's take this off LinkedIn. Let's just do something. We both thought about the podcast idea. And then if you go back and you watch the first episode, you might cringe for a little bit, but
we have our good eps and our bad eps. Maybe that one wasn't,
it was a pretty good ep, actually, but
solid
like
content.
And we look 5 years younger. So it's like, damn.
AI is aging us a lot.
Seriously.
that and babies. But regardless, dude, I think there's some fun things that we could do with live. We don't know what we're going to do with it at a certain point. We have to find the time to prep for it, where if we're going to do something, we're talking about a live create where we can come on here and sort of like take an idea from, idea to conception, like, or idea to completion, where, again, that's not like a very easy structure for a podcast, but it might be for YouTube or
a little bit of dead time in there, probably.
Yeah, because it's going to be impossible for us to just kind of like talk through all of that unless we're just rambling. But there's some we're looking forward to doing some cooler stuff, and hopefully like this doesn't crash when we try to generate video and stuff live, because that's much easier.
I mean, your M4 might be able to handle it.
Hey,
not my M2. Now all of a sudden basically obsolete. Let's see. Questions. Midjourney's mood board feature going to let you generate mood boards. Well, I think that's what we were speculating. We don't know a lot about that. That was my interpretation of it, but Rory brought up something in I think the last episode where he had a totally different idea as to what that could mean. So it remains to be seen. Not really sure.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like I wonder if, like this, you see the style, like the style reference code, like you see everyone posting it in the same style of mood board. I wonder if it's going to be something like that too. Like I wonder if it's going to be like, oh, here's just one image. I don't know what that looks like. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be a different set of the different like UX, UI, even for that as well. But it's, I wonder if there's so many ways that you can conceptualize it, like even like an auto tune
100%.
for like color aesthetic and color grading kind of thing, right? Like that would be if you had two images and they're not necessarily matched, then it's just like bing, match them like in the editor feature. Like that's something I think for like storyboarding. I don't know how they're going to construct it. There's so many ways you could do it, but that one thing with Luma I do really like, which is the brainstorm. That's the one thing that's to me was a really nice differentiator. Was like, oh, this is cool. I see where you're going. How about you go this direction? And I was like, that's it gives you a couple options. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. It's making prompting a little bit more interactive. That's when it starts to feel like the Chat GPT side of things, where it like has a brain instead of it's just like an execution tool, right?
Yeah.
So that's the interesting
Yeah.
thing.
I'm, you know what? Now that we talk about that, I am kind of surprised no one's gone that route yet.
Yeah,
Isn't that
Dolly
interesting?
had it. I mean, it was just like Grok. You can do it on Grok on Twitter, but it's never like the same. It's never like, oh, like keep this image the same, but like put that guy's arm up in the air. Like it just generates a whole new image, kind of in the same fashion. But it's conversational to get to that point.
Yeah.
I wonder if Sora is going to be like that in regards to like interactive with like the video generations. Someone also made a great point before, which is when we were going back, not to jump all over the place. Might have been Moody, but they said Sora with 60-second generations, the average shot length is 15 seconds in like, feature cinema, which it was great to highlight that because I was gonna be like, no one's doing like these, 3-minute Martin Scorsese shots walking through a crowd anymore. Like you don't see that often in cinema. So I'm like, they really only do need to be 15, 20, 30 seconds. I mean, there are some that are going to be longer, but 60 seconds to me feels like overkill. That starts to feel like video game more so than actual like usable shot type. But I just wanted to hit on that because someone made that point before.
Meg Ball's got a nice little zinger right here.
Oh, hey Meg. We have Midjourney doesn't release 7 giant.
Super chill hours.
Wow. Ooh, burn. I see Meg's getting a little upset too. Hey, Meg, you missed us complaining about this for a good 10 minutes. It's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Lisa says, I think you can train new personalization codes by using a mood board, meaning a collection of images that have a certain style in common.
I like that. I mean, a lot. If that's the way that it's going to go, that's
yeah,
yeah.
But I think she's saying that exists, not that she's speculating that's coming. I guess. I mean, let us know because if you're saying that exists, no, not really, right? Because essentially what you're going to do is anytime you rate new images, right? And I don't know what the threshold is, you're going to get an updated personalization code. That's all that is right now, right? Until they come up with whatever changes right now. So, yeah.
I would like to, if it was like train your own personalization code and you just drag and drop like 10 images into a folder and bang, it generates a code. It's like,
or let us pick the codes or name the codes. I think we mentioned that before. Also, Midjourney did say this, super interesting. If you're into style codes, right, which I think a lot of people are, they did say that they're going to do a catalog or a library and start to make that much easier for people to go ahead and find things, right? Because as it exists right now, you guys know this, but in order to find codes, right, you got to have somebody that's either posting it, so they're sharing it somewhere, or you got to unlock them yourself. There are a few third-party library sites that have unlocked a bunch, right? And they just kind of put them up and they've got some filters and ways that you can kind of go through there and choose and find something. But yeah, Midjourney said that that's going to change here shortly. They're going to make sure that it's a lot more easy to understand what exists, what doesn't. But yeah, just something to note.
We had another one in here real quick. Found Photoshop has been generative in our paintings hands down the best, essentially. I agree with you there, Moody. That one, I still use Photoshop because it's down to the pixel, right? Like you can get down to the pixel and generate that. You can also, the only problem I have with it is that
Coherence still sucks.
yeah, it doesn't like necessarily match aesthetic well from some of the different generators. If you're doing like something that's super clean and photorealistic, yeah, but then you might have to also like repolish it a little bit. Yeah, that's the one thing that I liked with Midjourney's editor is the expand feature. Like when you can, really expand and it matches the style extremely well. It's good, but then like the finer tuning details is not easy. Like in generative fill within Photoshop, still great. And speaking of Photoshop, just still waiting on all the announcements from Adobe Max to come to reality. I don't know how long that's going to take, but would love to see it soon, Adobe. You get us all excited and
Yeah.
don't do anything for months,
Yeah,
8 hours
Lisa,
worth of
okay.
presentations. Like,
Lisa, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we sort of talked about that at the very beginning. We are talking about with the personalization codes, how they're going to change that. You're going to have multiple personalization codes for different styles and so forth. But unless you've heard something different, like they haven't really given us a real like clear sense of what that is. Like I know we're talking about different styles, but there's no indication of how that's chosen or how that's controlled or the details about the thresholds of what you need for each of these style codes that happen automatic. Like we don't really know much. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, it's supposed to be coming out before end of year. So I just don't
bring
get my
back-
hopes up any. Just like if it happens, it happens.
just bring back preferred option set. I mean, it's really what it was.
I think they did, didn't they? Didn't they bring that back?
For the website where you can just instead like create my own like.
I thought
like,
I heard
dash
that
dash.
somewhere. I could just be dreaming stuff. I don't use
There's no
that,
way.
but
Because I would like to rename my personalization code so I could actually remember them instead of like BL2AZR35 sounds like I'm under center at a football game. Like
yeah, or just keep it the same so I can get it tattooed on my arm or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be so. I think they said you can create these codes by using mood boards. Like that to me is great. That's a great idea because that's essentially Laura training. Like it's very similar to that, or like it makes sense. That's how they do it. Because then it's a trigger word, right? Like then basically in the same idea. So if they do that, that'd be useful. I still wish I had a reverse image search feature in there. I would love to find some older images. Like I don't need it, guys. I don't need it. Midjourney. It's just like I have so many old images that I cannot find in there because I
oh my god, dude, it's brutal.
I don't know what I prompted. Now. I don't know where it's like a year and a half old. There's no way to go. Can't even go back. So that would be one thing. Hot take.
Do you remember though back in the day how those screens didn't load up so fast? Like when they first launched oh my god! But
remember when you had to go to Midjourney's other website
.com when you were still on Discord just to see the archive? Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was the real days. What did Juan say here? Hot take, but the treasure hunt for SREFs is way more interesting than having them around for easy. You know
Interesting.
what?
Interesting take.
I tend to agree there too. That I love the little gamification aspect of it. It's one thing that's totally different, right? Like it is like totally different than every other platform.
I think that's a really great point, Juan. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Let's see, Angela. Is there a way to look up all SREF codes like you look up P codes that you have generated? Yeah. I mean, if you're asking what I think you're asking, right? You could just take -- SREF and whatever the number is, put that into your search bar. And then you can view everything that you generated using that SREF.
Angela, there's some tricks I have for this in terms of like trying to hack the system because it's tough to find all the SREFs. So like either one, I'll create like a smart folder within the organization tab, and like I'll use like one token for like mining SREFs, right? Like maybe my prompt is like angry samurai -- SREF random, right? So I'll only do angry samurai when I'm generating SREF codes. And then, by having the smart filter on the folder, like everything will just filter in there. So it keeps all the SREFs organized. That's one way to do it. The other way is to go into
No,
Just
don't
to
say
go into-
rooms because no one's
I was
using
going to say
rooms.
room. I know no one uses them, but I use
No
them.
one uses them.
SREF mining. So you
Yeah.
can go in there and just do your mining, your SREF mining in there, so that it's always like in an organized place instead of getting lost in the create. It'll all get funneled into into those folders anyway. And then, if you find one that you like, you can utilize those SREF codes in the smart folders too. So like
Yeah.
if you're generating with a lot of SREF codes, you can use a smart folder and just make it the SREF code, and everything will just filter into there. So you can
I think
organize it.
that's probably the best way right now. Like
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I use the same prompt every time I'm mining, just mining specifically, right? Which means unlocking, just doing the SF random. And then once I sort of can tell what style it is and if I want to go further, then I have like sort of a short list of very simple but varying prompts that I'll run to further explore it. And then I usually like SW 250 for exploring SREFs, personal preference. Stronger than 100. It's not all the way 1,000. It's not 500. So you get a real nice balance of what you're prompting for versus what maybe is infused or baked into the style code, right? Because some style codes could be just focused on like creating teddy bears, right? If I do that at SW, 100, I'm not going to really know that. But if I do it at like a 250, I might start to see that, right? So that's how I sort of balance that. But
I need to get back into heavy parameter variation. That's what I've been lacking on lately. Like just, I haven't been.
what do you
I
mean,
haven't
like
been
running permutation stuff? Or?
Yeah, like going
Yeah.
higher. I haven't gone much higher recently. My personalization code is fairly graphic. So like
I'm not
what I
going
do-
high either, though. I mean, we've talked
No.
about this, but like, remember when it dropped?
Yeah,
We were going high,
yeah.
right? Because we wanted to see how the style, like our personalization, was influencing the prompts. But then, like over time, it just seemed like okay, the lower numbers really dialing it in better. I don't
been
know
using-
for whatever reason.
With personalize a lot, I've been using --s like 75 or stylized 75 through 90. Like I feel like it gives me majority of my personalization style, but still a little bit of the creativity from Midjourney's base model, which I like. It's like a nice little blending of it, so going under the default there. But do you have this where you go all the way? Have you tried going all the way up like recently a lot on your style, your personalization code? Mine gets super dark, like real quick. Around like
You're a dark guy.
600. I guess so. I don't prompt anything that's horror or anything like that, but mine gets crazy real quick. Like it was
Really?
kind of creepy. Yeah, like I was running it the other day. And I
Really?
kept doing it. And I was like, why so dark, Midjourney?
Damn.
I don't do anything along those. I don't prompt for any of that stuff. I don't
You're a
prompt
sketchy
horror.
guy.
I am though, so it probably knows me. It
Damn.
took my personality test and was like, you're secretly dark.
Yeah, I haven't really been doing it consistently enough to really know. Like I've done it here and there, but when you do it, just here and there, you don't really have a sense. I've just been running, let's say my default really around like 300. 300 a lot recently, actually. I used to be like a 200 guy. Well, I was a 150 guy for a long time. Then I was 2.
Yeah.
Then I was 250. Now I'm 3.
3 on your personalize.
3 on
Do
my
you still run
personalized.
personalize on everything?
It's my default. I don't not run personalize. Yeah.
I'm probably missing this in terms of permutation. I forget. I feel like I used to do this on Discord where I could run. There was like, if I wanted to do personalize, right? Like if I want to do personalize and non-personalize in the same prompt with the permutation, it was like something. It was like maybe like : --p or something like that within the parameter set. I forget, but you can do that because I remember
You could run both. I don't know. I don't think
you used to be
so.
able to do
Can
something
you?
very similar on Discord. With,
But I mean, with personalization.
yeah, and it was.
But
it was
how
like
would you
with-
even set that up with as a parameter though?
It was something like you could run like as a permutation. It would be like one value would be like with the permutation or with the parameter. One value would be like without it. So if that means like, I'm trying to. There's a way to do it. I know I used to do
because
it. Like,
if you don't put in the personalize,
yeah,
you could just put -- personalize. It's going to automatically put your code in there. So what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is that even possible? Because I think you would need another value to offset it.
well you can do P0
Or you would need-
and or S0 and S100. There should be that's it. So it's S
Yeah,
S0.
because style. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's how to run it in the. That was really hard to get to the answer there, guys. Sorry, and I knew I was thinking about it in the way that I used to do it, but it was.
But then it's not really taking advantage of the Midjourney stylization in that sense.
Well, it drops your personalization all the way down to 0, so it's not using it at all, right? So if you're taking the
But then how do
stylized
you run?
because you're doing S, if you're doing running permutations, dash dash S0 would be without personalization, and then it'd be S100 with your personalization, 200, 300, 400, 500. See what I'm saying?
But
Like,
how could you run stylized without the personalization outside of 0? I guess is what I'm saying.
but if you drop, wait,
Dude, math is hard. Okay.
no, so yeah, right. But stylization controls like the entirety of your personalization, right? So
Right.
if 100's default and that's like standard, and 0 has like no influence of personalization, so then wouldn't it just be without personalization?
So
Or
what's the default? So
S100, right? It's already at S100 default.
bro, we might have to figure that one
See,
out. That's gonna drive me
Midjourney.
nuts.
Listen to this one, right? That's
Jesus,
here's
dude.
a
These
confusing.
if then scenarios. Come on.
Why couldn't it just? Why do they have to use stylized for this? Why couldn't it just be PW like P weight?
Yeah. It would have been much
I
more
mean, like
intuitive
everything
for
else.
sure.
Doesn't make sense to me, but hey, that's another one for another time. But
Another one for another time. I think are we wrapping this? We wrapping this thing up?
I think, do we have any other questions here?
I don't see anything else up.
Anything else? No. Scrolling back. Doesn't look like it. Anyone else?
Bueller.
Going once. Going twice. All right.
So this will be too, if you caught part of this or you want to, watch it again or anything like that. So this is going to be the plan anyway, this is going to be the podcast that is released Sunday morning when we always release podcasts. So check in then, we'll have that up in live. Also, obviously, I think if it is up on, LinkedIn or, you want to go on X or something like that, you could just watch it back. That's also a possibility. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us last minute. Pop up, Midjourney Fast Hours podcast.
Yeah, on the fly, MJFH. So,
Love it.
No, awesome. We appreciate you guys coming through,
Appreciate
hanging
you
out for a
guys.
little bit, asking questions, interacting. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Glad to
Moody.
hear we're on
Shout
the
out to
same page.
Moody. Moody,
Yeah.
I don't know you, man. I don't know where you're man or woman. I don't know who you are, but thank you for showing up. You had some great stuff. Thanks for adding into the episode, guys. We'll see you next week in the next one.
Like and subscribe. Thank you. See ya.
Boom.